In the last month, I spent on average 9 hours and 57 minutes of focused work every day, including weekends, on improving my software engineering skills, learning and building AI agents, and reading up on and reflecting what are currently the world's most pressing issues and what are the things that I can do to nudge the world into the most favorable direction. What's coming now? This is my personal diary, and I will tell a couple of stories, seven stories about experiences that I had in the last month. And this video is made with one purpose and one purpose only, and this purpose is to give you the opportunity to get to know me better. If you already know me, then this is just an update about my life. I will just talk about what happened to me in the last month, and if you don't know me yet, this is a little window into my life, into my experiences and what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking, and yeah. I'm trying to make this as authentic as possible, and of course I would like you to believe that I'm super smart and I'm super hardworking and everything, but the priority is that I want to help you to know who I really am, and so I will try to be as raw and honest as possible and give my best. I will try to make this in one take. Don't cut out anything. Be embarrassing if I'm embarrassing, but like really give you a window into who I am and what I experienced in the last month. Be raw and vulnerable. This is my goal. And I'm also trying to make this fun and enjoyable for you. So I spent some time, and instead of just rattling down the facts, what happened in the last month, I put it into a bunch of stories, a bunch of short stories of things that happened to me, things I realized, things I learned, to just make it nicer and more enjoyable to listen to. So let's just start. I gave every story a name, and the name of the first story is how I, in air quotes, nearly built AGI. Of course I didn't build AGI, it's kind of clickbait, but this is how I called my first story. And the story starts with me sitting on my desk here, or actually standing on my desk because I have a standing desk, and I have an idea. I have a really cool idea. And this idea is to connect a large language model with my Obsidian note-taking system. Or not my Obsidian note-taking system, but like an Obsidian note-taking system. And then through clever scaffolding and prompting to teach the large language model, for people that don't know, it's like ChatGPT is a language model, for example, to teach it to use this note-taking system as a kind of second brain. So I personally have an Obsidian note-taking system that I've been using for the last 4 years, and I think if there's one thing that might change my life the most, then it's me learning about proper note-taking and learning about the power of using notes to clarify your thinking, to outsource this capacity of your brain that is holding everything together, remembering the things you're working on, like remembering all the ideas while you're thinking about them. And with the note-taking system, what I learned for myself is that I now have this remembering part outsourced, so my brain can go and have 100% focus on trying to connect ideas and build new ideas out of old ideas instead of having to remember everything. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense to teach this to a language model, because if you can actually teach this to a language model, the biggest limitation we have right now on language models is that they don't really learn. They don't get better with time. They don't, like, we always have to train a new, better, bigger model to teach new knowledge. And even then, if I am using a language model, every time I have to prompt it again, I have to explain again. And it's not that it gets better the more often I ask it to rewrite a text for me. I have to explain it again each time. And if you could teach a language model to outsource its remembering, and in that case it would not even be the second brain, it would be the first brain, this could just be an incredibly useful. And so I'm standing on my desk, I have this amazing idea, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna build this. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I want to swear on this podcast, but I say I'm keep it raw and honest, so it's gonna stay in here. I decided, okay, I'm gonna try to build this. I think that's a really cool idea. And so the next 1 or 2 days, I'm just keep trying to build this. And at that point, you must know that I already, for the last 3 weeks, I spent all my mental capacity on thinking about language models, thinking about agents, thinking about how to use them properly. And I'm completely in this hype loop. Like, all I listen to is podcasts about AI agents to learn more about how they work. I spend a whole week reading, or not a whole week, but like I spent a couple of days reading the langchain documentation and trying to really understand, okay, what is an agent? What are the building blocks to build a scaffolding of agents? How to give them tools, like researching different ideas and just getting this grasp. And it's to the point that one of my best friends, Mark, he told me that he's literally annoyed that whenever we have a meal together, like all I talk about is agents at that point, because it's just in my mind. So I completely obsessed for a couple of weeks on exploring this new space. So for a day or two, I'm building, and what I started with is building an MCP server. That an MCP server is kind of the way to connect, like a standardized way to connect agents to tools and through the tools to outside apps or objects to things that the agents would otherwise not have access to. Like, for example, to an Obsidian. So Obsidian is my note-taking system, Obsidian Vault. So to connect it to a note-taking system. And I looked around in GitHub, I saw, okay, a bunch of people already built MCP servers for connecting to Obsidian, but I didn't really like the way they wrote their code. I didn't really like the tools that they gave to the language model, and they wanted to have more customizability. So I decided that I'm going to write my own MCP server. And after a couple of hours, I have written this beautiful, simple MCP server. And it's just, I put a lot of love into that code, and it's just, in my opinion, like subjectively, it's just beautiful code. And I'm very happy with what I built. And it's already late in the evening, and I'm a bit exhausted, and like the day is nearly over, but I want to get this done. And there are like 2 little things that have to get done. So because I'm thinking about agents so much, and I'm working in Cursor by now, Cursor is a code editor where you have AI helping you kind of code. And because of that, I decide that I can just, for the last 2 little things, like they're really simple. Like I did 90% of the work. It's just 2 details. I will just use the agent of Cursor and have him do it, or her, or it, whatever, and just get it done. So I write my prompt, I press send, and the agent starts working, and it changes something, and it changes another thing, and it changes another thing, and it changes so many things, it nearly doubles the amount of code I have for this simple little request. I'm looking at the code, and at this point, this is the first time I use an agent on a code base that before that was purely written by myself. Whenever I used agents for coding before, I had them build a new project from scratch. So I never really realized this, the fact, how much it adds. And because I had such a good understanding of the code, I could just look at it and see what it does. And there was a bunch of redundant things. And I'm like, the thing that the agent built, it's working, but it's so inefficient, so redundant, so many things. And I'm trying to explain it to the agent. I'm like, hey, you did this super inefficient thing, and like you can make it way shorter. Like, why make it so complicated? And I press send, and the agent is like, oh, of course, yes, you're completely right. Like they always do. And he starts removing some lines on one place and adding some lines in another place, removing some lines in one place, adding some lines in the other place. And in the end, it turns out in the sum, he maybe removed like 2 or 3 lines, and it's still super inefficient. And in that moment, I kind of realized something. And that is that all this time before, I was super hyped about agent, and I still think they are an incredibly powerful technology, and they will change nearly everything. But it's not like they're magic. It's not like you can just snap your fingers and they build you a perfect castle. It's an integral, difficult path to use them in the right way, and it's a skill to learn. It's a skill to use them in the right way, and it's a skill to build them in the right way, so that the things they build are actually useful and they don't just add a lot of code. And it's a skill to convey what you truly want in the right way, because the models are incredibly powerful, but we have to be able to clearly communicate what we want those models to do to actually have a good outcome. And yeah, this is what I realized in that moment. And so now I'm on this journey trying to learn, okay, how do I properly use the agent? How do I properly build agents that maybe don't add a bunch of lines of code? Of course, I'm not trying to compete with Cursor and build a coding agent, but yeah, this is the realization I had in this first story. The story how I nearly built AGI. Let's go to the second story. And the story I call the most enjoyable thing, doing my taxes. That's the title of the story. And this story starts a couple of days after I built this MCP server. And at that point, actually, it's a wrong order. It was before. It was in the time while I was just, during the first weeks, while I was really in the exploring phase, like really exploring how agents work. And you might know, like you might relate, but in this exploring phase, you jump around a lot. It's not a clear process. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do this today and this tomorrow and this the day after. No, it's like you find out something new. It's like, oh, langchain is a thing. Oh, let me look into the library, into their documentation. Oh, that's quite interesting. Let me read it a bit more. And then you spend a couple of days reading this documentation, and then you find out about a new paradigm where people adjust the prompts with data. And then I look into that, and it's just like a continuous circle of exploring. And for me personally, this continuous circle of exploring can at some point get me into like a very low dopamine state, because it's like when you always explore and your mind is in this, oh, this new shiny thing and this new shiny thing and this new shiny thing, at some point I feel really drained. It's like for some reason, after a couple of days of this exploring, it's an evening and I feel super drained. I'm standing on my desk again, and it's like for the last 2 days already, nothing is fun anymore. So for 2 days, I keep exploring, I keep pushing myself, but it's just not enjoyable. And I just have this urge to just take a break, listen to podcasts, eat a bit more, and not put in the work that I actually think is important, that I actually would like to put in. And this has already been going on for 2 days at this point. And in this moment, on this evening, I decided like, okay, no, stop. I don't want to like I can't continue right now. Like it's just I don't enjoy it. It's like if I keep pushing myself always like this, I'm gonna burn out, and it's just not fun. And like this exploration, wide-eyed, like learning new things that I stepped into this process is kind of gone now, and it's just pushing myself and like banging my head against the wall and keep going. So I decided, okay, stop that. I'm not going to work on this evening. And I do something I do very rarely, and that is I look into my low focus tasks list. And I have a list that I call my low focus tasks, and this list is exactly for those kind of moments where I am low focus, low motivation, and I just don't want to work anymore on the thing I want to work on. And this task, in this list, I just put, let me drink a sip of water. I just put everything inside that is right for those kind of times. And so I look into this list and I see on top of this list, do your taxes. And doing my taxes, I've never done my taxes before. And it says, okay, deadline is by the end of July. And end of July, I still have like 25 days or something. It was in the beginning of July. I still have enough time, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna do that now. It's an important thing. It has to get done. It has to get done soon. I know I don't open this list a lot, so I start doing that. And it's kind of scary because I've never done my taxes, and it's exactly the type, oops, sorry. There is a little problem with the screen. Nice, okay, I fixed it. I know that I don't open this list a lot with my low focus tasks, and it might be that I will open it the next time when my taxes have to already been done. So in that moment I decide, okay, I'm going to do my taxes now. It's scary. I start wrangling with like forms and searching for stuff and putting stuff into filling out forms, and after 2 hours it's like I wake up and I look back and I was super focused. Like for 2 hours, just from this low dopamine, trying to distract myself into like super focused. And when I go to bed on that evening and I think back on the day, I notice like, oh, I actually feel really good about myself. I feel way better than I felt before I started doing my taxes. And this is paradox because doing my taxes is something that it's like the least enjoyable thing. It's a bit scary. It's something I don't really want to do. It isn't intellectually stimulating, but still, for some reason, it made me feel super good. And in that moment, going to bed on that evening, I noticed that the true reason why I was feeling so bad the days before in the exploring, where I was so low dopamine, is because when you explore, you can't always see if you're making progress. And it's such a core, integral part to the way I feel is if I feel that I'm making progress on the things I care about. And for the last couple of days, because exploration is so undirected sometimes, I was just not feeling like I was making progress. And this was the reason why I was feeling so bad and so low dopamine. And with doing the taxes now, there was suddenly like a very clear goal, something that is important, something that I have to get done. And I managed to do it. I managed to get it done. And it was not fun, but I'm very proud of myself. And this is, I think, a key that I learned in that moment, that having a clear objective, having a clear measure, having a clear progress is sometimes all I need if I feel unhappy, I feel unsatisfied with my work. Sometimes this is all I need to snap back and really enjoy what I'm doing again. The next story I call my unexpected insight from moving. And this is because this month I moved, and maybe in the first couple of seconds of this video you saw, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify. Otherwise, if you're listening to this, you didn't see, but I put a graph of my weekly routine. And you saw that there are 2 days where it didn't work. And on those 2 days, I moved. So it's the day before the move, and it's already late. I have my room quite dark because I don't want to have too much light in my eyes because of sleep quality and everything. And I'm packing my last boxes, and I'm kind of stressing. It's like, okay, did I prepare everything in the right way? I know that tomorrow is like the move day, and I told 3 of my best friends, I asked them if they can help me, and each of them agreed. And by my personality, it's very important for me to do things in the right way, in the most optimal way. And my head is spinning in that evening about how can I move. How can I make the move in the right way? I don't want to waste the time of my friends. I want to respect the time of my friends, and I don't want to waste my time. But there's a lot of stuff to move, and the 3 friends also told different times. It's like one of them was like, okay, let's do it in the morning. The other one was like, oh, let's do it in the evening. So I'm thinking, how do I do this? Should I first start with one of them and then get the others 2? How do I manage so that they stay motivated, that they don't feel like I'm that they feel appreciated, that it's like all working out great? And just, yeah, I'm kind of stressing on that evening. And all good, I go to bed. Next morning, I decide, okay, we just do it right away. Everybody's coming. I text everybody, okay, let's go. I have the big car. Everybody comes, and the next couple of hours, they're just a blur. It's just, I'm not actually carrying a lot of boxes. It's more that I'm in my place, in my old place, and stacking the boxes up and pushing them to the door. And the 3 of them are just like coming with an incredible speed, like taking the boxes faster than I can put them for them, and carry everything into the car. We go over, and it's the same again. I'm upstairs. They bring the boxes faster than I can make space for them. And already at around 1 on that day, everything, or like let's say around 2, everything is inside my new place. And I'm sitting there with Mark, Julio and Udish, the other 2 friends that helped me, are already gone, and we made ourselves like really nice sandwiches. And I'm sitting there with him eating this amazing sandwich, and I'm thinking back on the evening before where I was super stressed and thinking, how do I do this the right way? How do I make this most efficient? And I realized that my friends, the people I decided to spend the most time with, are all they do when they don't help me move is they get shit done. Like, those are the type of people that they do. And those are just, they're A players. And if you have A players as friends, like, how can you even be afraid about moving? Like, if you have 3 A players, like, of course the move is going to work amazing. Is like, I didn't have to say a thing. Like, all of them, yeah, it was just really amazing. And I learned in that moment that, like, yeah, with friends like this, with A players as your friends, like, yeah, what is there to worry about? Like, there's no move, no nothing that I can't rely on my friends on, and that's a really, really good feeling. The next story happened on the same day. I call the story "The Problem with Groups." And this is after Mark and me finish our sandwiches. We go down into the car and we're going to drive to Udish's place because there we're going to have a dinner all together just to finish the day, to celebrate successful moving, and also to see his new place. And in the car, I tell to Mark, hey Mark, let's try to make this really high quality. Let's try to have high quality conversations with this, like this evening. And Mark completely agrees. Like, Mark and me, we have kind of like, we build a tradition that whenever we talk, whenever we have a meal together, we start the meal by saying, okay, what do you want to talk about? And then we try to consciously make a choice to talk about something that is meaningful, that is important, that we actually want to talk about. We don't just let the conversation flow wherever. Of course, we also sometimes do that, but we try to consciously talk about things that are important to us. And over time, I really noticed that like this is super valuable, and I love the quality of conversation it brings. And so in the car, we're talking about that, and it's like, okay, let's try to also have this evening. So we arrive at Ude's place, and I know like with all of my friends, all the people that are there, like if I spend time with them alone, we always have great conversations. Like maybe not that it's not that with everybody I hang out with, I always ask, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I'm really conscious about, but I have really good conversations with all of them usually. And that evening, it's not like we have bad conversations. We have very good conversation, but it's just not this level that I was wishing to have when I was telling to Mark, okay, let's make this great. Let's make like really great high quality conversations. And this is a fact that I noticed that like in groups, it's super hard to have this extremely great conversations. It's just very hard to steer a group into this direction of deeply exploring a relevant topic. It's like, I guess a group is way harder to steer than a one-on-one conversation. And it's not that it was bad. Like I really enjoyed this evening. We had amazing food. We had an amazing time. We had, funny conversations, everything. But it's just like this deep exploring of topics that I crave about was kind of missing. And on the drive home, I'm sitting next to Mark again in the car. I'm driving and he's sitting next to me. And we do something that we started doing a while ago, and that's what we call a debrief. And that's a really cool thing, that whenever we do something together afterwards, like a bigger thing, afterwards we do a debrief where we give each other feedback and talk about, okay, what could we do differently? What could we do better? How could we make this more high quality next time? And we talk about the evening, and it's like, yeah, Mark agrees with me. It's like, and we try to think about, okay, what is it? Like, how can you, because for both of us, it's like, I'm not sure if I ever had a conversation to the same level of quality that I have with single people in a group. And we're exploring different ideas. It's like a long drive home. It's like an hour. So for an hour, we're exploring different ideas. Okay, how can you do that? How can you bring high quality ideas? Okay, we also talked about other stuff, of course, in this hour. But it's like, how can you have really high quality? How can you foster? How can you nudge a group into have like a really high quality conversation? And when I'm home, it's like I noticed that this conversation in the car, this was one of the most high quality conversations I had in a long time. And if I keep going to reflect in this level on those type of conversations, I think that with time it's definitely going to be possible to have crazy high quality conversations also in group, especially with the friends I have, with Mark on my side, that's going to work together with me to nudge the group into high quality conversations. And I know also all my other friends, I can just tell them and be like, okay, hey, let's see, let's try to have high quality conversations, and all of them are probably going to be super on board with it. So yeah, the next story is a very short one. I call it the magic of fasting. And this story starts a couple of days after the move. And after the move, on the next day, I start moving, because after move, of course, it's not everything is perfectly set up already. It's like still boxes standing around. So I put my headphones in, I listen to an audiobook, and I start putting everything to the right place. And the audiobook is really good. I listen to Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, if you know about it. And I get absorbed. I really enjoy it, take my time to put everything. And after a day, I'm still not done. So on the next day, I still do bits. And at some point I'm like, damn, I have to go back. I want to go back, do high quality work, learn new things, and like I can't spend. I already spent like nearly a day on setting up a new place. That's too much, inefficient. Go back to work. So I try, but this break that was created by the move really makes it hard for me to come back into this focus state as it was before, where I was working 11, 12 hours a day. I barely managed to get 6, 7, 8. I always distract myself. I always am like, oh, I have to do this thing. And then I listen to podcasts again and my break gets super long and I eat a lot. That's one thing I do, that I go and eat for 2 hours while listening to something. And I really enjoy this, don't get me wrong, but it's just not really efficient if you want to get work done. And so 2 days after this, the 2 days of bad work or like low quality, short working days, I'm trying to think, okay, how can I turn the ship around? Like, how can I get myself to go back to the level I was before the move, to go back to this focused 10, 11, 12 hours a day? And I have an idea, because the beginning of this year, I started with a fast. I didn't eat anything for 7 days. And in that time, I had incredible mental clarity. So I was thinking, like, okay, maybe I can try this. And I decided that I'm going to fast from now on, just to get myself back on track. So I don't eat lunch. I'm already hungry. I don't eat dinner. It's like the hunger gets first a bit more and then a bit less. I wake up the next morning, the hunger is nearly gone. And I start working on the next day. And I get into such a beautiful, beautiful, deep focus. It's like focus better than I had in even the 2 weeks before the move. And after this focus session is over and I decide to, okay, I need a break. I'm going to clean my room a bit. And while I'm cleaning my room and I'm thinking, and I realize like this fasting is such a powerful tool for my mind. It's so obvious. Like, even if there would be no health effects at all, I don't need a placebo controlled trial to see that I just have to fast and my mental state gets into such a flat, clear, clean dopamine state where I can focus very well. And I noticed in that moment while cleaning my room that I have a new tool in my toolkit that I can use now whenever I feel like I'm tilting, when I feel like I'm getting out of balance and I'm kind of getting off the track, my dopamine is fluctuating too much, that I can just say, okay, I'm going to fast now. I'm going to not eat any food. I'm going to not listen to any podcasts. I'm going to not listen to any music. The only thing I listen to is white noise, and I do my work, and this brings me back on track super fast. Super fast. Super fast. Next story. I call it, damn, that's a lot of stories. By the way, I really enjoyed putting those stories together. I think it's a good habit, and it's so cool to remember through stories what is going on in your life. There are 2 more stories this month. Yeah, I think it's really valuable to, like, writing down the stories teaches you like to see your month. Like, I see my month way more clear, and I will definitely remember my month way more clear because I'm writing down the stories and I'm taking the time to tell them, and I can come back, listen to this. Yeah. So this story is called My Painful Hike. And it starts after I fasted for 50 hours already. So the last time I ate was Monday, and now it's Wednesday evening and Wednesday afternoon around 6. And I'm super excited. I'm packing my stuff. I'm packing pack a bunch of warm jackets into my backpack, and I'm excited because I'm gonna go on a hike. I now fasted for 50 hours, and what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna go on a hike. I prepared a route here through the forest and through a bunch of other forests that I've never been at, and I'm gonna hike, I'm gonna have no stimulation, I'm gonna not listen to anything, I'm just gonna walk with my thoughts, and I'm gonna see what I'm gonna learn. And I'm very excited because I haven't done this in a while. I just, so much focus on work, and just to get my head out and to see what I can learn from just walking in quietness, and to see what new thing comes up, what if I have like a cool new insight or whatever. So that's what I'm excited for. So I started walking, and because I haven't eaten in this long time, I feel very interesting while walking. It's like my head is kind of floating above myself while my body's just walking. And when I try to stop and I stand still and I close my eyes, it's like I'm nearly passing out. I really feel myself how, like, when I close my eyes and relax, I nearly tip over, because all this walking, at that point I'm already walking for like 2 hours maybe, so not so long, but all this walking and the fasting, it kind of is exhausting, and my body is exhausted. But I want to learn, and I'm super curious about, okay, what happens? I just keep going, I keep pushing. It's I listen to enough David Goggins that I'm like, that's nothing. Like, I can do this for 24 hours, and probably I can still keep going. So I keep going, and it's also not the first time that I do something like this. Once I did a 200 kilometer in a row cycle without any stimulation. Once I cycled for 340 kilometers in a row. That was 24 hours. Actually, there I had some stimulation. Once I just sat on a chair for 24 hours and did nothing. I think it was when I turned, like, after, so maybe with 19 years old, and I finished my high school, and I decided, okay, I want to see what the world has to offer, so I'm just gonna see what happens if I do nothing. So I sat on the chair and did nothing for 24 hours. Surprise, surprise, I didn't have any big insights. Also, one time I actually meditated for 100 hours in 10 days. I did a Vipassana retreat, so also no stimulation. And it's not the first time that I do this. It's not the first time that I push my body to the limit, or no, maybe not the limit, but like push my body. So I just keep walking, and I'm curious, like, okay, what's gonna happen? And it's a beautiful forest, it's a beautiful day, I'm super exhausted, it's not really fun, but I'm curious, and I also want to prove myself again, okay, I can control my body, I can keep walking, and even if it hurts, even if I feel like I'm nearly passing out, I can just keep walking, and I am the one in control. So I keep walking. At some point my feet start hurting, but I just keep walking. And so after 4.5 more hours, it's now completely dark. It's around 11 in the evening. I have a big stick in my hand because I'm afraid that some kind of animal or some kind of human is going to attack me. And I'm in this dark forest where it's really hard for me to see if I'm still on the path. And I'm not sure if I will make it home before midnight, because I'm still quite a couple of kilometers away from home, and I want to sleep on midnight. I always sleep on midnight, so I'm trying to walk a bit faster, but my feet hurt, and it's just, everything is dark. And in that moment, I think back on the last 4.5, 5 hours of walking, and think back, well, what did I learn? What does this time teach? Did this time teach me? And again, of course, it's another proof to myself that I have control over myself, that I can keep pushing even if it hurts, even if I don't want to keep pushing anymore. I can keep walking even if I don't want to keep walking anymore. Pain is just pain, and I decide what to do. Like, of course, to a certain degree, and this was not the most crazy thing or whatever, and there's definitely levels of pain that I can't probably decide what to do, but this level I can. And in that moment, I realized that just walking, just letting your mind wander, even if you're in pain, even if you fast for 50 hours, it's not going to teach me any magic. And for some reason, I forget that every time I do an experiment like this. I told you about the 24-hour sitting. I was very disappointed afterwards. It's like, I didn't learn anything. I told you about the 200-kilometer cycling in a row without any stimulation. I don't think I have any great insight from that one. I told you about the Vipassana, which is by far the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. 100 hours meditating, no stimulation, don't look anybody in the eye, don't communicate with anybody, don't speak a word, don't write anything down. And while it was a super fascinating experience, I would recommend everybody to do it because this was so extreme. It's not like I found some secret wisdom in those 100 hours of meditation. So in that moment, I realized that, in that moment, walking in the dark with my stick in my hand, I realized that just letting your mind wander won't lead to whatever great magic realization I was seeking for. And since then, I'm experimenting a bit with, okay, how can I use the time where I would usually have my mind wander to productively nudge myself into the right direction of the learning I want to make. And I'm trying different things. I'm trying to, one thing I'm trying is in breaks to always to listen to an audiobook or podcast or essay of exactly the topic that I am researching in those days, in this time. And this turned out to be very helpful. Another thing that I want to try is to not let my mind wander in breaks, but try to very consciously, when I'm on the break, keep my focus on the problem that I'm working on and see what happens. But it's all still in the experimentation phase. I just noticed that during my painful hike, and that is what I wanted to share. The last story, I called it What Matters If Nothing Matters. And it starts by me being very excited. Because I found a new philosophy, and it's like the thing that I've been searching for all this time. I have been by this point already reflecting on the core of what I truly want for a couple of days, probably nearly a week, that I spent really deep thought on thinking about what is it that I truly, truly want. And when thinking of this, there are kind of two possible worlds that I'm trying to consider. And this is the one world in where there's something that is better than something else. Like where there's objective meaning, you might call it meaning, where there's where there's something that is objectively better than something else. So objectively, I mean, it's true whether you believe in it or not. And so, as I said, two possible worlds. In one world, there's objective meaning, and in the other world, there just isn't. In one world, there's something that is better than something else, objectively, and in the other world, there's nothing that is better than something else, objectively. And in this second world, I actually have a diagram for people watching. In the second world, you have to figure out, okay, how do I live my life? If there's nothing that objectively matters, everything is equal. You can't live a wrong life. Whatever you do, it can't be wrong because there's no objective right and wrong. There is no measure for saying what is right and wrong. And the interesting thing is that I'm quite convinced that this second world is the one that is more likely to be true. But this gives me a lot of headaches because how do you decide what to do if literally nothing matters? And so this evening I'm super excited because I found a philosophy which is called valuism, written by, what was his name actually? By Spencer Greenberg. And the idea of this philosophy is that if there's nothing that matters, or also if something matters, but it's just like a way to value your actions. Is the thing you try to do, the thing you anchor your good and bad, your actions on, is the things that you intrinsically value. And this is a very important distinction between intrinsic and extrinsic and instrumental values. Intrinsic values are things that you value for their own sake. Like, you value them, you would want more of them, even if nothing else would change by getting them. It's, for example, for nearly everybody, it's happiness. Like, I would want more happiness even if nothing else would change from me being happy. But it's not the case for example, money. Like, money is a purely instrumental value. Like, if money would have no effect, you wouldn't want money. Like, if you couldn't buy anything for money, like, why do you wouldn't need money? So the idea of valuism is to separate between those two, between intrinsic and instrumental values, and then try to efficiently maximize what you intrinsically value. So this evening I just read about valuism, and I'm super excited because it's like Spencer is putting words into my mouth, and he's writing down in this essay this philosophy which I would maybe have found myself in like 5 years, but after a lot of banging my head against the wall. And it's like he did all this, like he made all this work to just catapult me into the future and show me like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. This is a really reasonable way to think about what do you do if objective meaning doesn't exist. And for the next day, I think I nearly spent a whole day, like 8, 9, 10 hours. I'm trying to become really clear of, okay, what are my intrinsic values? So it's the evening of the next day. The day before I was super excited, and I'm exhausted. It's like I put so much mental effort, so much computation into thinking about what are my intrinsic values. And it turns out that it's incredibly hard to figure out what are your actual intrinsic values. Like I was trying to, like for the whole day, I tried to trick myself with different thought experiments. Like, do I really care about this? What do I really not care about this? How can I contradict myself? And in the end, I landed on a list that is quite solid. But even there, I'm like, I could spend the next week full-time trying to really make sure that I nail my intrinsic values. And I think this is a valuable exercise because you want to know what you're fighting for. You want to be really clear what you're fighting for. But being that exhausted that evening, it's like I realized that this beautiful philosophy, which I still think is beautiful, is not, it's not magic. It doesn't magically lay everything in front of you and show you the way. It's still hard work, and I'm willing to do this work, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to improve. And maybe valuism is also not the thing I will end up with, and I'll change again, and that's okay. But yeah, in that moment I realized it is hard work, and I'm going to put in this work. I'm going to keep putting in the work for everything I do. I hope you enjoyed this a bit longer monthly review, the stories of mine. The next month I'm reevaluating what's the most impactful thing for me to do, and yeah, also based on this philosophy research. And then I'm gonna go full on attack, do what I believe is most meaningful. And yeah, if you want to learn more about me, I have a website where I put everything. You can just find everything there. It's eliasschlee.com. Other than that, I'm very happy that you stayed with me for all this time. I hope you enjoyed those stories. I put quite some effort into putting them together. See you next month. Bye bye.